I was never superstitious. I'm a volunteer firefighter in Kakiuk, a small coastal town in Alaska, where fires are rare and emergencies usually involve drunk fishermen or tourists who underestimate the ice. But that night, that damn night, what I heard at the station was nothing I'd ever been trained for. The call came in at 2:11 a.m. A fisherman was shouting over the radio that he had seen something huge moving among the abandoned storage buildings east of the pier. I figured it was a bear, maybe hungry. But when I asked for more details, all I got was a dry sound, like a blunt impact followed by a desperate gasp. Then, complete silence. I took the truck and drove there. The sky had an odd reddish tint caused by a low aurora stretching over the frozen water. The pier was empty. Only the wind, sharp as a blade, dragging the smell of salt and rust. When I reached the storage buildings, I noticed something strange. The metal doors were wide open. That wasn't normal. They were heavy, and even two people struggled to move them. I went inside with my flashlight raised, my heart pounding against my throat. On the ground were footprints, not boot prints, not bear prints, not anything I recognized. They looked humanoid, but far too big and deep, as if each step made the earth recoil. I followed the trail into a dark hallway. The smell inside made me step back immediately, a mix of wet fur, soil, and something else, something that tightened my throat. "Hello, Chanson!" I called for the fisherman, though I knew he wouldn't answer. A loud thump echoed above me as if something enormous had walked across the metal roof. I ran toward the exit, but before reaching it, I heard a growl that made my legs stop obeying me. It wasn't an animal growl. It was heavier, like a voice buried deep in the chest of something gigantic, trying to form words and failing. My flashlight shook in my hand, and then I saw it. A figure descending slowly along one of the metal beams. It didn't jump. It didn't fall. It climbed down using extremely long arms, moving with a fluid, silent grace. Its fur was dark, almost black, clinging to its body as if it were dripping wet. But what froze my blood was its face. Not fully visible, just a glimpse, a massive wet jaw and two red eyes reflecting the aurora's glow. I stepped back, pointing the flashlight at it, but that seemed to irritate the thing. It opened its mouth and released a shriek that made the entire building vibrate. Something inside me snapped. I bolted. I don't remember how I made it out the door. I only heard my footsteps, and behind me its own, heavier, faster, each one pounding like a countdown. I reached the pier and jumped onto the ice. The wind killed my flashlight. Everything turned dark. I could only hear the creature breathing nearby, far too close, until suddenly it stopped. Complete silence. No footsteps, no growls, nothing. When help finally arrived, they found no footprints on the pier, no trace of the fisherman, only massive marks on the building's sheet metal, as if something had been climbing outside, watching us from above. That was the last night I patrolled alone. The red aurora still makes me tremble. I never imagined that a job as simple as checking temperature sensors could push me to the edge of collapse. I had arrived at Chignik Bay in Alaska to replace a unit that had been sending erratic data for weeks. It was midwinter, midnight, and the temperature read -21 degrees Celsius. The sea was barely visible, just a black void bordered by fractured ice. My name is Lucas Haro, field technician. I'm used to working alone, walking kilometers in the dark with nothing but a flashlight and the wind roaring. But that night something felt wrong the moment I stepped out of the vehicle. The silence. It wasn't normal. No gulls, no creaking branches, not even wind whistling through the rocks. It was a void so deep, it felt like it swallowed my footsteps. About 30 meters away, among trees twisted by the cold, stood the damaged sensor.
As soon as I shined my light on it, I saw that someone, or something, had ripped it out by force. It wasn't a technical failure. The metal mast was bent as if it had been warm plastic. I crouched to inspect the cables when I heard the first sound. A slow, wet thudding, like flesh hitting something solid. It came from the forest to my right. I tried convincing myself it was a wounded animal, maybe a bear. But the rhythm, it was too deliberate. Seconds later, the smell hit me. A mix of dung, moisture, wet fur, and fresh blood. My flashlight began to flicker, and the air grew heavier. I took 2 steps back when a massive shadow moved between the trees. It didn't run. It glided, as if it knew exactly where every root was. "Who's there?" I managed to say, though my voice sounded weak, not mine. No answer, just that smell. When I lifted the flashlight, a pair of enormous eyes, wide apart and a deep amber color, watched me from an impossible height. They didn't shine from the light, they shone on their own. And when it let out that growl, deep and resonant, I felt my chest cave inward. I stumbled back and fell into the snow. The thing advanced a step. I heard its foot sink through the ice, cracking it. I couldn't see its full face, only the silhouette, massive shoulders, extremely long arms, and a mass of dark fur that shifted like a living curtain. I tried to stand, but my ankle failed. I crawled toward the vehicle as the creature approached without hurry, as if it savored each second of my terror. When it was less than 10 meters away, it roared, a sound unlike any known animal, a sound engineered to destroy willpower. At that instant, a light flared behind me, the vehicle headlights turning on with the remote. The beam illuminated the creature completely. I saw it, and I wish I never had. Its skin, beneath the fur, was grayish. Its lower jaw jutted forward, filled with uneven but blade-sharp teeth. Its hands looked capable of ripping an entire tree out of the ground. The creature shrieked sharply, stepped back, and vanished between the trees with impossible speed. It never appeared on the sensors again, but since that night, I know something lives in Chignik, something that fears neither cold, nor man, nor the dark.
Ranger Eamon Hale used to say the forest always spoke, with the wind, with the animals, with the cracking of branches. But that October night, as he climbed alone toward the Hill of Silence, the forest said nothing. Not a night bird, not an insect, not even the wind dared cross that place. It all began when a hiker reported strange lights in the area and a sound like a moaning that repeated every few hours. Hale thought it would be an injured elk, maybe a group of campers with a bright spotlight, nothing he couldn't handle. But the moment he passed the first curve of the trail, he knew something was wrong. The smell. A dark, humid stench, as if something enormous had been buried and was only now clawing its way back out. He switched on his flashlight. The beam reached a few meters before dissolving into the tall, tower-like trees. Hale walked slowly, listening to every crackle. He checked the ground. Broken branches, disturbed soil, and deep, oval-shaped marks that didn't match any known animal in the park. His radio hissed. "Base, this is Hale, do you copy?" Only static, nothing else. He kept going until he reached the spot where the hiker claimed to have seen the lights. What he found was worse. The trees were scraped more than 2 meters high, not clawed, ripped. Chunks of bark and wood hung loose as if a massive hand had dragged itself across them. "What the hell?" he muttered. A sound shook the ground behind him, a dry, heavy thud like someone dropping a huge log. Hale turned his flashlight just in time to see something move between the trees.
A large shadow, larger than a bear. It walked hunched, slow, as if feeling out its surroundings. "Hey, who's there?" Hale shouted. The shadow stopped. The temperature seemed to drop instantly. Then a guttural growl seeped between the trees, long, vibrating, so deep it made his ribs tremble. Hale drew his pistol, though he knew the weapon wouldn't save him. The flashlight beam caught an upright figure. Massive shoulders, impossibly long arms, and eyes that reflected the light like two burning embers. They weren't animal eyes. They were eyes assessing him. The creature advanced, one step, then another. Each footfall sunk into the earth as if nothing could resist its weight. Hale backed away instinctively. "Stop," he whispered. The creature didn't. At 10 meters, it let out a shriek so violent the trees shook. Hale fired a warning shot into the air, hoping to scare it. Mistake. The creature responded by charging, fast, impossible for its size. Hale ran downhill, slipping, stumbling, feeling the creature's breath just meters behind him. He didn't know how he was still alive, only that he had to keep running. He reached the old log bridge and jumped across it. On the other side, he turned for a second. The creature had stopped, watching him, breathing hard. The bridge seemed to mark a boundary it wouldn't cross. When Hale blinked, it was gone. He returned to the station at dawn, trembling. He resigned weeks later. To this day, he swears that thing let him go on purpose.